It's cold outside, but our chickens are doing really well, and this is because of a lot of the things that we've set up for our chickens, and we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do to make sure that your chickies have the perfect outdoor environment for when the temperatures do get quite cold. Today's around 20 degrees Fahrenheit. It doesn't get into the negative temperatures in the Northeast where we live, but it does get quite cold, and there's a few things you can do to actually make it better for your chickens and let them thrive. And you can see our chickens are all outside, chilling, hanging out. They love to be outside during the entire year. Actually, we do let our chickens free range during the day, so they're very used to having their space, wandering and being outside in the sunny environment, so it's something that they really love. Now, if you don't let your chickens free range, one thing that you do want to keep in mind during the winter is providing a nice run. So we actually have this run over here. We do cover our run, but providing a safe space for your chickens where they can go outside that is also predator free is key in the colder temperatures. Your chickies still do want to enjoy the sun and be outside of their coop, so making sure that you have a space for them that is safe. Now, as I mentioned, we let our chickens free range, but it is safe because we're home all day and we have dogs that are outside, keeping it a generally safe area, but we also do let them have this run. So if we are on vacation or going to be out for the day, we will lock this, and this is a predator proof area. Nothing can come in from the top or come in from the sides, so you aren't gonna have any fox, coyote, raccoons, hawks, anything like that go in there. And providing a safe space from predators is definitely key, especially in the winter months when it gets cold and those predators are looking for a tasty treat. Now, another thing to think about as you're thinking about providing a good safe area for your chickens is going to be the actual coop. Now, if you've watched some of our videos before, we actually use an old horse stable that we had that was on our property, and we created an area inside of one of the stalls for our chickens. Now, when you're building out your coop or thinking about purchasing your coop, there are really two main things that you want to think about providing for your chickens, and that's going to be a draft-free area, so making sure that there are no horizontal drafts. This way your chickens can stay warm, and this is really going to make sure that their combs and their wattles are warm and they're not freezing over in these colder temperatures. So having an area where the wind cannot blow in, and especially thinking about the areas where they are roosting, where they're drinking or eating, or where they would be nesting or laying any of their eggs, you want to make sure that those are nice, cozy, and there are no drafts in those areas. Another thing to think about when thinking about your coop is making sure that there is areas for ventilation. So usually you want to have ventilation at the top. This is because a lot of the air is going to come and rise up in this area, and ventilation is key because you don't want it to get moist in there, because then also this is what can make their combs kind of freeze over, is with that moisture in the air. So making sure that you have areas that can ventilate out some of that moisture in the air is going to be key. Additionally, inside of the coop, there is a lot of droppings, dirt, and there can be some ammonia filled air in there, which can be really bad for the chickens' lungs and general health, as well as the dust in there. So having the ventilation areas inside of your coop are going to make sure that some of those bad fumes do get out of the coop and are not stuck inside with your chickies. Another thing to think about is actually providing your chickens with some good high calorie nutrition. This can be in your feed, but this can also be in high calorie treats, something like grub worms, or just making sure that you are feeding your chickens often. As I mentioned before, we do free range our chickens, so a lot of their supplemental diet can be from free ranging, but when it is covered in snow, they're not necessarily going to get all of those buggies and worms that you would otherwise get in the warmer weathers when they can actually scratch at the ground. So make sure that you're providing some extra calorie treats. As I mentioned, these can be grubs, this can be cracked corn, oyster shells, anything to help give them some of that extra calories that they might be missing out from free ranging. Another thing to think about is although they are surrounded by snow, which is water, you still want to be providing them with a fresh, clean, warm source of water. This can be bringing in new hot water every morning. This is what we did when we first got our chickens, although this can be a very laborious, manual laborious item. So something else you can do is actually think about getting heated watering systems. We have a really great system. We use a big trash bin, and then we actually have a heated plate around it. Now be cautious when you are using any heated items. You don't want anything to spark a fire, especially because there are a lot of dry flammable items in a coop. So be very cautious when you are using any warming items, warming plates, warming lights, anything of the likes, so that it's a safe environment for your chickies while still keeping them pretty warm. One way that we love to warm our coop is with the deep litter method, and I have talked in lengths about this. We've actually been using the deep litter method for years, ever since we started our coop. And basically what this is composting within your coop. This means throughout the entire year, starting in the spring, we usually start this, we'll clean out our entire coop and then start to fill it with some organic matters, some browns, some greens throughout the entire spring, summer, fall, and even into the winter, just layering in some organic matter, mixing it up throughout the year on a weekly basis. We try to go in and churn that area. The chickies will also help by their scratching, and this helps create a free source of heat inside of the coop. And honestly, if I went and stood in there right now, you can definitely see some heat rising out of the bottom, and it is overall just a lot warmer in there, not only because we have the wind blocking out some of the section and there isn't like snow or anything like that in there, but it is just a lot nicer. The last tip is to provide an area for your chickens to actually be outside, whether that's a covered run or an area that you've shoveled out or just doesn't have too much snow. I know our chickens really enjoy being outside for like 99% of the day when it is bright out, and the light is gonna help your chickens get some more vitamin D in their diet, as well as potentially help them produce more eggs throughout the winter. We actually have chickens that produce eggs all winter, and it is because they do have light. You can also supplement this inside of the coop to help get some eggs, but outside you do want to make sure that they do have an area to also have a dust bath. This is basically like a bath for your chickens and will be a way that they can clean off, and it helps reduce any parasites or other bad things because they're able to smother them with the dirt while rolling around in them. It is getting really, really cold, so I would like to go inside and warm up, but I hope this was helpful. Please include any other tips and tricks that you have for keeping your chickies in the winter, and I'll see you guys again next time.